Hey everyone, Kerry back here with Homeschool Coffee Break, where we help you stop the overwhelm so that you can actually take a coffee break. Can't even talk today, I guess. But anyway, hey, y'all are, I know I say this all the time, but I'm here with a really good friend, Michelle Osborn, and she has got some great information for you on homeschooling teens because some moms get really afraid of those teen years. So, Michelle, thank you so much for just carving time out of your day to be with us.
Thank you, Kerry. Like I mentioned to you before it started, I'm just so happy I got to know you. You are such a blessing and have so much wisdom. So these people that are listening need to pay attention because you know what you're doing.
Well, I know everything about what I'm doing, but I will tell you my mistakes as well. But that's for
Okay.
another day. I may tell you a mistake or two here. I don't know. But anyway,
Okay.
hey, we are talking about homeschooling teens because that can be a scary thing. All of a sudden, they're taking classes, and you're like, I'm a person or I'm a literature person or I don't whatever. So we're going to get all the great advice from Michelle. But before we do that, Michelle, would you just tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, I am a mom of four grown children. They are all married now, and now all four of them have their own children. So one of my youngest daughters just had a baby a couple days ago. So we are so excited. That makes grandbaby number 8. Okay, so this homeschooling thing can continue on to the next generation. Um, I I've been homeschooling forever. I feel like I've been homeschooling forever. So once my kids got to the teen years, I just kept going. I didn't know any better, right? So I just kept going. I learned as I went, and a lot of people started asking me, "How do you do this? How are you homeschooling teens?" And so that's kind of got my niche into homeschooling teens and helping moms do that. Because I'm like, you can't send them back to school. Don't send them back to school. And previously, I had started homeschooling teens successfully. So I was already helping homeschool moms save money. No, Yellow House book rental. I've got a couple different things here and they just flow out of my mouth sometimes I say the wrong thing. So I've just always been in the homeschool community and I love it, helping moms save money, helping moms homeschool their teens. And I learned, like you said, through a lot of mistakes. And I just tell them the things that I've learned that were not mistakes, actually.
That is so cool. Yeah. Did y'all hear at the very beginning? She was like, I have grown children. So she doesn't have a 4-year-old and she's telling you about teenagers. Her kids are grown. She's done. Now she's starting all over with grandkids. Grandkids are awesome, by the way, and they are so much fun. And congratulations to your daughter for 8 grandkids. That's awesome. I'm excited. So you sort of alluded to this, but what's the question that you get asked the most when it comes to or moms that either want to or considering or in the middle of homeschooling their kids when they get to those teen years?
I would say there's two questions, but the one that I probably get asked the most is, am I enough? Can I do it? And it just makes me sad to hear them think that they don't believe they're enough, because they know their children best. They love them better than anybody. And it makes me it makes me sad that our culture has taught us that someone else knows better on how to educate your children than you do, because that's not true. It's a lie that we've learned to believe. And the moms are enough. And right now with homeschooling, there is a plethora. I mean, it's crazy amount of help that you can get out there. So you don't have to do it alone. So are you enough? No, we're never enough without Jesus. But with each other and with the help that's out there, they definitely can do it. And so I just encourage moms out there, if you're wondering if you can do it, if you're enough, you can. So that's the
So
main thing that I get asked.
that makes sense. And that really is a problem because I mean, a lot of times we all question ourselves. God gave you kids and he gave them to you. So I love what you're having to say that they are enough. So moms are thinking, yes, but through those teen years, will they? Well, I even have them in the second and third grade. Are they going to be okay when they leave the
Right,
house? And I'm like, but
right.
when the teen years come, all of a sudden they're like, oh, is this really going to be enough? And so What could you say to moms to help them prepare their teens for adult life?
Well, homeschooling, I think, is the perfect place to do that because when they go away from you, like whether it's to a private school or a public school, they're getting academic learning. Well, they're getting a lot of other things as well, right? But when they're home with you, you get them 24/7 to pour into them about life, not just academics. Because I always tell people homeschooling is life learning. Academics just gets mixed into it, right? So while you prepare them for life, you do everything, not just academics, and you teach them through life. Um, so I'll just go through a few things here. I know, like I told you before, we could spend an hour just talking about how to prepare them for life, right? But I would say number one is that they need to make a plan. Moms need to know where they're going. I say often, if you don't have a target, you don't know whether you're hitting it, right? So you need to have a plan for those high school years. Know what the graduation requirements are. That's the first thing, right? And the second thing is, what are you going to do to get them to those requirements? So those plans are very necessary. And I spend a lot of times helping moms get the details of that, but they need to know what they have to do and how to get there. The other thing is to learn who your teens are. Find out what they're passionate about. Because when you find out who they are and what they're passionate about, then you can help them find classes and courses that will not only help them fulfill those requirements, but it will help them enjoy school and be motivated to school and most likely prepare them for what God has ahead for them, right? Because He's put those passions into them. So those are the top two things. I could tell you a whole bunch, but one other that I would say is go out into the world, get your kids out there, travel if you can, let them learn from different people and cultures and ages and everything. That's because you learn so much through immersing yourself into all these other cultures and people and things that are different than you. So get out there, get into the world, leave your comfort zone with your children.
That is so good. And I love that is, oh, it's my internet connection that is unstable. So he's probably recording that. I may have talked on top of you, Michelle. That's so weird.
That's okay. You froze there for a
Uh,
minute, but I thought I'd keep going.
oh, good. Then I hope that it froze on me and I was thinking it froze on you. Who knows? We'll fix it hopefully,
Okay.
since I'm such a great video editor, not. But anyway, okay, so I love that idea of getting your kids out in the world because so often we want to protect them, but by the time they're teens, if you're not letting them make decisions and even fall on their face a few times, they won't be ready. So you might as well journey with them along the way during those teen years. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate that. Um, I also know that you have talked, I've seen this on your blog about moms and just their educational blind spots. And a lot of times we don't even know where our little blind spots are. So what would you say to mom so they can sort of figure out where's their blind spots and then how do you overcome whatever that blind spot happens to be?
Right. That's the hard part because you don't know what you don't know, right? So how do you learn that? So I'll just tell you a couple things that I learned through this homeschooling process is that you will always have those blind spots, but you won't get help if you don't have others in the journey with you. So don't do it alone. Make sure that you get advice, that you ask for help, that you talk to your friends, that you get involved in summits, ones that I've done, like ones that you've done. They're out there and they teach you about things. They help you maybe think about something you've never thought about before. So there's conventions in person, there's summits online, they're your friends, there's your co-ops. Don't do it alone. Get other people out there that can look at you and hopefully you can take that advice when they're like, here's a couple things that I learned that maybe will help you out. So that is one big thing, is make sure there's someone else there that can look at places that you can't even tell are there. Another thing that I learned the hard way is that I love saving money, which is good, right? But almost to my own detriment. because I was such a penny pincher while I was raising my kids and homeschooling that anything that cost money, I'm like, well, I'll just figure out how to do it myself. Okay. Well, um, looking back now, I wish I would have realized that investing in my own knowledge, I guess you could say, on how to homeschool or paying for something that someone else could teach my kids would have been an investment. It wouldn't have been a cost. Moms hate to spend money on themselves when they can spend it on their kids for the most part, right? Especially when it comes to education. But if I would have learned how to do it better, if I wouldn't have pinched those pennies so much and been willing to pay for some things that would have helped me learn how to do it better and realize that it was an investment, not a cost, I would have gotten rid of some of those blind spots. And it cost my kids is what it did for me. So that's what I tell others. Don't do that because it will cost them, not just you. So
So
that, yeah,
good.
a couple of things.
No, go ahead. Well, I just want to follow up. Like, that means we have to be humble and willing to listen to others, and they may say something that you don't really want to hear. So you do want to find people you can trust. So I love, we cannot do this alone. And there is a plethora of people and everything. If they're That's awesome. Then investing in your kids, we're so worried about our money. We'll invest it here, there, and everywhere, but we don't always invest in our own kids because we're trying to save money. And I know a lot of homeschool moms are on single incomes, but you can still save money through the year so that each school year you've got a little bit of a budget to be able to do that. So thank you. And thank you for your transparency of saying what you didn't do correctly, because I do think that's really helpful for moms to hear that as well.
Yeah, yeah. I know one thing is that I didn't spend any money on helping them be able to pass SATs or ACTs. I spent hours upon hours trying to help them do that. And we struggled together. But then I found a course that I knew about, but I didn't spend it because I'm like, I can't spend $200 or $150 on this. But you know what? I know my kids would have doubled, maybe gotten a couple more points and gotten thousands of dollars more per year just for the couple more points in those ACTs or SATs. So looking back, I'm like, I cost us money. I didn't save us money by not spending $150.
So good. It makes me think my nephew and his wife they've got, I don't know, a 4 and a 2-year-old and one on the way. But the oldest one, they spent $200 on a sleeping course to figure out how to get the child to sleep. I'm thinking, if a kid's 30s can spend $200 and figure out how to get his child to sleep, I don't know what all the problems was. I thought, then we should be spending money on other things as they grow up. That was saving them some peace, but we need
Right,
to invest as well. So I appreciate
right,
that. And the SAT, I mean, we do need to be able to, y'all ask me questions about how do we prepare them. Well, if they're going to go to college, and that might be another question we may throw in real quickly, is college and how do you, okay, for us, each child was different and they did
right.
different things with
Yes.
college. What advice would you give people as far as going to college or not going to college? Or do you have any tips on how they could make a wise decision and I would say with their kids, not for their kids?
Right, that's true. You want to make it with, not for. Um, my answer is different um, in the last couple of years than it would have been if you would have asked me like 5 or 6 years ago, because education is changing so fast. And we used to be worried about the education system in public schools, right? But now it's moved into the colleges. And so for me, I wanted all of our kids to go to college at least 1 year and get that experience. Ours went to Christian colleges, which was, I felt like kind of leaving the home, but kind of still in safety. But you know what? There's so many things now out there that are different, that have changed. So it really does depend on your child, what their goals are, because you don't want to spend thousands of dollars on college. If, like my youngest, college wasn't for her. She wanted to be an esthetician. So sending her to college for a year, that would have been a waste of money, right? So it really depends. And it goes back to something else that I said, know their passions, know what they're good at, know their gifts, and then help them research. Okay, do I need a college for this? Do I just need a certificate for this? What could I be doing in high school to prepare me for this? Like our son, he's an entrepreneur. He learned just about everything he did in high school. Now, he did go to college. That's a whole different story. And he's glad he did. He majored in business. But there are a lot of options out there, and you can still help your child grow, even if they don't go to college. And sometimes they have to, right? So help them um, as they research. Is college necessary? Is it not? What type of college is going to give me? Because not all colleges give you what you need, right? And the other thing that I wouldn't have said before, what is that college teaching that person? What kind of worldview do they represent? Because, you know, 80 to 90% of teens that go into college don't come out with the religious or with the spiritual, whatever it was that they went in. So that's very, very important. We don't want to pour into our kids for 18 years and teach them about God and what it means just to have 1 year of them completely change everything. So really, really research that with your children if they do go to college.
So good, because I remember when my kids were in junior high and we were driving to Houston with some people in our church and they're like, well, will they go to college? And I said, well, I don't know. But when we get to that point, we will, I mean, we were still training them and giving them the tools that they needed if they did decide. I said, we'll take each child individually as well. And I'm going to just really harp on this world view is so different. I live a mile from Texas A&M, and everyone through the years, oh, it's so conservative. It's so conservative. And I'm like, even back 20, 30 years ago when my kids were there, I still thought it's not as good. It may be more conservative than University of Texas, which is very liberal, but it has gotten so liberal. And I was with a good friend of mine that she's my age, and her kids all went to A&M, and she started sharing some of the new degrees that you could get. And I was like, oh my goodness. And it goes completely against the Bible as far as all the gender issues. I'm not going to go down there, but research. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox because that is so true. Don't believe from everyone else what you hear. So thank you for sharing. Worldview is so important, and we want our kids to keep walking with God. And I'm going to throw one more thing, then I'm going to go back to you. If they do walk away from God, you don't ever stop praying for them because
No,
God will bring them back. And I've seen that from my own experience. So
right.
you never know. Sometimes that walking away is as much for you as it is for growing them, because I grew a
Yeah,
lot through those college years.
right.
So
Yes. So really research, find out beyond the academics, because there's so much more in schools now beyond the academics.
so good. Well, I know you've got some great helps for our moms as well. What are you working on right now that you could that could help moms of teens in the homeschooling?
Oh, I'm so excited because I have so many things that I'm working on right now. One of them is preparing for the Homeschooling Teens Summit. That is an online summit. It's a free summit, and it will be the first week in June. So I have gathered together some of my great expert homeschool friends to speak and give us some advice in several different areas, preparing them for high school, preparing them beyond high school, helping them in high school. Um, why homeschooling can really help your teen. There's all kinds of stuff we're going to talk about, but I'm working on that right now, and that is going to be available first week of June. The other thing I'm working on is I have a course called Confidently Homeschooling Teens, but I decided I wanted to make that more available and less costly for people. So I'm turning that into a membership. So I'm working on that where they'll be able to get the course, but yet monthly help and bonuses and resources. So I'm excited on that, but try to work on both is a lot right now, right? And so those are the two main things that I'm working on right now, but I got a lot of other stuff in the sidelines. They're waiting for my time.
Isn't that the truth? I've even actually crossed things off my list so that I could focus on what was going on. Hey guys, if y'all are here and listening, wherever you're listening to this, right below, whether it's a podcast or a video, there's descriptions or show notes. There will be a link with the dates, and I believe I have written down June 3rd through 6th. Is that right
Yes,
for
it's
the
June 3rd through 6th. No, there'll be some things available before that, the week before, but that's when the summit happens.
Okay, so you'll have the dates wherever you're listening to this, and there will be a link directly there. If you click on the link right there and you sign up, it is my link. I've got a special video that I want to share. I will give y'all as just a bonus gift, and that will be about homeschooling teens as well. And so, because I get to be one of the speakers, yay, I'm excited.
Okay,
I did
thank you
this
so
last
much.
year, and it really is it's a great event. So thanks for putting that all together as well. So um, I also know that you do something for homeschool families of all ages. Can you
Yes.
tell them a little bit about your Yellow House business?
Yes, no, that's where it all began. Yellow House Book Rentals was where everything started. And because I told you I love saving money, right? I thought, why can't we rent curriculum like we can do college books, right? Or like we can rent other things. So with my son, the entrepreneur business help guy, right? I started Yellow House Book Rental where I started renting homeschool curriculum. Now, consumables, you can't rent that because you're writing it and everything, but I have a whole bunch of products, and I work with a lot of publishers that allow me to rent their products. And so, yes, renting is an awesome way to save money. And you know what? Especially if you don't know if you want to keep it, we spend so much money on curriculum that just sits on our shelf because we're like, that didn't work very well, right? So, renting gives you the option to try it, rent it, send it back. And if you like it, you get to keep it. So,
Oh,
yeah. So there's a lot more about that and how to do that. But renting is a great option that I would have used if it was available when my kids were younger.
this is cool. So I've never asked you this question, but I've been curious. How did you come up with the name Yellow House? Do y'all live in a yellow
Yeah.
house, or is there any significance? And I know we haven't really talked about it, but I was just curious
Yeah,
if
no,
there
that's
was.
okay. And Yellow House book rental, homeschool curriculum, I would have probably done something different because that's a mouthful, right? But so I'm really bad at coming up with names and titles. And I was asking my husband, and he's like, how about something Yellow House? Because you love yellow and our house is yellow. And I'm like, yeah. And so it morphed into Yellow House book rental. But I love yellow. Our house is yellow. And so that's where we got Yellow House book rental.
That is so cool. I have to someday introduce you to my oldest granddaughter since she was 2 years old. Her favorite color is yellow. I mean, because I was even asking on Easter what color something was, and the little sister was like, "Oh, Faith's was yellow," and I'm like, "Well, I'm not surprised." And so, because that's her color anyway.
Yep.
That is so cool. So y'all remember, we'll have links to the summit, to the membership. If the membership's not available, we'll at least have it to an information page and then the Yellow House book rental. And I agree, that would have been, hey, that'll save you money. Then you can invest your savings into your children with whatever classes or follow their passions. So, hey, as we close, is there anything that you would like to share with our moms before we close?
Just back to that first question. When you worry about not being enough, you know what? Look to Jesus because we aren't, and we're going to mess up and we're going to think we've ruined our children. But you know what? He gave them to you and He will give you what you need. Just pray for wisdom and just trust Him because He's got this, whether you do or not. And you'll look back and go, oh my goodness, God provided the whole way through. And look at where we are today, because it goes by in a blink of an eye, right?
Yes.
It does. So take every moment and enjoy it.
That is awesome. Michelle, thank you so much for your wisdom and just for being here to encourage our moms. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, this is Kerry Beck with Homeschool Coffee Break. We'll talk to you next time.